I think I may need to call an intervention on myself. My most recent uploads all share a pattern of self-destructive behavior by covering certain topics that the overly sanitized and pro-censorship YouTube of 2025 certainly doesn't appreciate. First came the AOS adjacent videos, then the Heimdallr character study, and now we arrive here. Those of you who are already familiar with this story, probably because it's so infamously obscure it loops back around to being somewhat mainstream, know exactly why I am covering it today, and what I would like to title this video. We'll see if some tech shenanigans can fool the censorship bots. Don't worry, I'll say the word after the first minute timestamp. The bot which determines whether or not a video gets demonetized has the attention span of an iPad kid being asked to watch a 10-minute video. So, if it seems like I'm dancing around the subject matter to begin this video, that's because I am. Now, this story centers around the god of wine Dionysus, a deity whose acceptance into the cultural zeitgeist of his native Greece has a tenuous history spanning multiple... Are they gone yet? Okay, I think we're good. This is a story of how Dionysus invented the dildo and then proclaimed that pegging yourself in the ass would be part of his cultic worship. Now, this isn't going to be a character study video. Believe you me, this is an eventuality I'm looking forward to about as much as the Rings of Power Season 3. However, to frame today's story, I will need to abridge this story of Dionysus' birth, as it is tantamount to understanding how all the pieces got onto the board in the first place. So Zeus is... doing a Zeus, and is having an extramarital affair with this mortal woman, Semele, who is being far too open and braggadocious about the king of the gods knocking her up to the point where Hera overhears this and decides to play the role of the Machiavellian anime villain once again and plot Semele's murder. So, while in the disguise of another mortal woman, Hera expresses doubt on Semele's claim, stating that all the guys anymore are doing the same thing, claiming to be a god so they can trick the girls they like into being less obtuse with their libido and more obtuse with the angle of their legs. Semele actually falls for this gaslighting, and so the next time she sees Zeus, disguised in his mortal form, she demands to see him in all of his divine anime glory. Thinking this is a bad idea for a multitude of reasons, but then immediately dropping the idea, since when has recognizing something as a bad idea ever stopped Zeus, he decides to comply, showing off his true form. And then, because she's part moth or something, Semele decides it would be a great idea to touch Zeus's lightning bolt.
Oh, light!
However, not everything was burned away, as from the ashes of his mother, a semi-developed zygote emerged. Now, normally this wouldn't have prompted Zeus to do anything, as per usual. However, he had some pretty big plans for this child of Semele, and so he took the little shrimp-looking motherfucker, opened his testicles with a knife, and then slid little Dio up there so that he could continue incubating the child. To anyone who has ever made fun of someone for thinking that pee was stored in the balls, be thankful that at least that their school curriculum didn't intertwine health class with mythology. Somehow, this actually worked, and so Dionysus was allowed to be twice born from his father's nutsack. Okay, you all know what you're on right now, so here's the Messiahs in mythology shower thought. Did baby-bit Dionysus just rip open Zeus's nuts all over again, or did he tunnel his way out through the urethra? I'm very much so looking forward to reading the comments section on this video, provided that this video stays up. That bit of trauma aside, Dio grows up, proving his divinity through a series of trials and tribulations. And by trials and tribulations, I mean brutally slaughtering his enemies and their immediate families. Again, that video is coming, it's about as inevitable as your parents' divorce. However, there is one thing missing from the young god's soul. He was desperately missing his mother. But his uncle Hades ran a pretty tight ship, and didn't typically allow anyone to leave the realm of the dead after they had already, well, died. So Dio was going to have to pull a heist in order to get Semele back. And in order to do that, he couldn't very well go in through the front gates. As, we'll call it luck would have it, Dio came across an old recluse named Prosinus, who just so happened to be quite the fan of Dionysus as well as a fan. After explaining his situation to the old man, Prosinus made a proposition to the young god, which went something like this. Well, shoo, boy, I'd love to help you get back your mama, and it just so happens that I have a lake in the edge of my here property with a portal to that there underworld at the bottom. But ain't nothing in this life free, boy. That Charon fella would have charged us some gold coins to take you across that there river Styx. Now, I know money be tight right about now, so I'm thinking that you can pay me with something else that's a little more affordable, but equally as tight. Seeing as the front door was never really an option to begin with, Dio agreed to use Prosinus's back door in exchange for his back door, but only upon returning to the world of the living with his mother, so that she could be disappointed in him, I guess. After this, Dio goes scuba diving, takes the portal at the bottom of the lake to Hades, then locates his mother in the deepest recesses of the underworld.
Hurry! We need to get out of here. By the way, it's pretty dark down here. You didn't happen to, bring some matches? Or a torch? Or possibly?
After retrieving his luminous-obsessed mother, Dionysus then comes out the other side without his uncle's notice, emerging from the waters now thrice born. Impressive to be sure, but he's still got a lot of catching up to do before he gets to Heimdallr's level. However, as the pair returned to Prosinus's cottage, they discovered that he hadn't old and died while they were escaping the underworld. So, sweet. Dionysus got his mom back and got to keep his ass in the process. Right? Following this, they bury Prosinus, closes multiple Reddit accounts, and then Dio takes a branch off of a nearby tree and fashions it into the shape of a phallus. To which he places it on top of the tomb and sits on it.
Son, he's already dead. You don't have to do this.
Don't be silly, mother. What kind of god would I be if I didn't hold up my end of the bargain? Jesus Christ, why did I make this out of wood? And so, after giving his asshole so many splinters he nicknamed it Amy Rose, Dionysus decreed that in addition to the complimentary bottle of baby lotion given to anyone who attended one of his cult's parties, they would also be given a communal dildo so that they may reenact his act. But how true is any of this? True as in how canonical this is to the wider mythology, not did this literally happen? Did the events surrounding Prosinus's death actually take place?
Well, you're partially right, but mostly misinformed.
Yes, there is in fact an old tale related to us by Pausanias detailing how Dionysus traveled to the underworld to rescue his mother, which was only successful because he conveniently went down there the same day Heracles was wrestling Cerberus as part of his 12 labors, and after which the pair emerged from the waters of the lake near Lerna. However, the details of Dio almost getting involved in a very gay episode of Fake Taxi don't actually emerge until the late 2nd century AD, with the writings of Clement of Alexandria's Protrepticos, or Exhortation, a Christian work whose entire purpose was to satirize the hell out of the old pagan beliefs of the ancient Greeks. Likewise, he wrote the god of wine and partying to be really, really gay, both derogatorily and very literally. And that's basically the narrative which stuck with him for so many centuries. And yes, he also invented the dildo thing. So, what have we learned here today, boys and girls? Don't let a grizzled old prospector prospect your ass, no matter how desperate you are to get into the afterlife. Never believe everything you read on the internet, especially Tumblr. And this channel is quite possibly the worst possible thing you can show your kids to get them into mythology. There's a reason I purposely age restrict my videos. I never have, nor will I ever filter my own content. But hey, apparently 8,000 plus of you like that well enough to subscribe. And if you haven't yet, why not? I make videos like this all the time trying to speedrun YouTube censorship suicide, so if you like edgy humor, mythology, or a mix of the both, I'm your man. Thanks to Echo for providing her lovely, minus the accent, voice for this video, as well as Mona for the always amazing thumbnail. Their links will be down in the description below, as well as the link to my Patreon so I can continue to pay them. And with that, my name has been Messiahs of Mythology. Thank you all so very much for watching this video all the way to the end, and I hope you all have a God's blessed day and a good yard.
We settle this with swords. If I win, I put a hole in your chest as big as this one.
And what happens if I win?
You can have whatever you want, my sword or my ass.